Welcome to Akulmach. My name is Chandrakant, and you're watching This Day That Year. In this program, we will basically bring some historic events and what are the history behind these historic events and what are the learnings. And we are live, so if you have any suggestions, any comment, you can post your comments live. So let's proceed and find out what is in store for us for September 30th. Well, friends, we all know that Robinson Crusoe, the novel, the great novel, has been an inspiration for a lot of people across the millennia. It's a story of a sailor who was shipwrecked and then survived for several years on a remote island. And how did he survive and all that. So this story has stuck in the mind of all the sailors and everybody actually, and they always draw the inspiration. So as per the novel, this is a fictional character, let me clarify, but as per the novel, on September 30th 1659, Robinson Crusoe's ship was shipwrecked and he basically got marooned on a remote island. So it's a trivia, something that we should remember. Maybe all of us have read the novel, but we might have forgotten the date. So only to refresh your memory, this is a bit of information. Let's proceed to the next one. Well, next one is regarding the Germany, and as you know that Germany was not Germany couple of 100 years back, and Germany was unified. It was split into multiple states, and Persia was the largest state, and it was ruled by all of these different states were ruled by their respective monarch. So the prime minister of Persia, which was reporting to the monarch, he was a visionary and he was looking at unifying Germany into one big, large, potent force so that they can counter the threat of the French and other neighboring countries. So he had the vision, and his name was Otto von Bismarck. And later, because he was so nationalist and his views were liked by so many people, not only in Persia but in other neighboring states also, so he was declared as a minister president by the Persian administration. And today, on September 30th 1862, he gave his very, very popular speech called Blood and Iron. And later in the history, we all know that Bismarck unified Germany into the current state that we see today. Let's go to the next one. We all know that the Europeans were settling down in the new world, which is the United States of America and Canada, which is primarily North America. And also on the south side, the Spanish conquerors were settling down in Mexico and the South American countries. So they were living separately in villages and small areas. But once the population grew to substantial numbers, then city was formed. And on September 30th 1898, the foundation of New York City was established. So even though a lot of people have been living there, but it was not called New York City. And as a system, as a process, the New York City Council was launched today, and New York City was also called a city on September 30th 1898. All right, let's move to the next one. We all know that the humans are obsessed with speed. We want to basically attain more speed in our trains. We want to have fast cars in our garage so that we can drive past the other guy. And this applies to aeroplanes. We want to fly faster aeroplanes. And this conquest of flying faster, flying higher is not new. For the first time, man realized that you can fly faster than the propeller driven engine by putting a rocket behind you. And this experiment was conducted on September 20th in the year 1929, when the first manned rocket plane flew. And believe it or not, this experiment was done by automaker Fritz von Opel. So this is a rocket plane is not new. It was being experimented for very long time, even though we had a very successful rocket planes later in the 50s and 60s, but the first one flew in the year 1929 on September 30th. Let's move to the next one. Well, we all know Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam was one of the national projects for the United States, because United States economy was in doldrums in the 20s, and therefore the government started building a large dam so that more and more job creation can happen. And for constructing Hoover Dam, lot of labor was required, and there was a lot of unemployment because of the slowdown in the market. So there were two projects the government started in that during that time. One was Suez Canal, where a lot of Americans were going to Panama and participating in construction of Suez Canal. And second was Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam is basically today powering the Vegas and neighboring states. And also Hoover Dam is responsible for creating a fertile land in the middle of the desert, because Hoover Dam has been able to create a huge lake behind it. But this is a huge dam on the river, and it's made of concrete, and it's basically a gravity dam. That means the dam structure is so heavy that it will stop the water, and it will be so strong that it is basically utilizing the gravity. There is so much concrete used in this dam that you can cover the entire earth, entire globe, with 1 meter thick concrete slab. So you can imagine the extent of this project. But believe it or not, this dam was called Boulder Dam when it was constructed. It was a national project for them, and it brought the economy back on track. Basically, these two projects, Suez Canal and Hoover Dam, on track for United States. But when it was being constructed, it was called Boulder Dam. Later in the year 1935, on September 30th, then the current president Franklin D. Roosevelt wanted to give respects to his predecessor, that was Herbert Hoover, the 31st president. So this dam was renamed to Hoover Dam on September 30th, 1935. So this is some small trivia, because Hoover Dam is very popular across the world, because the ingenuity and the engineering of this dam is remarkable, and therefore it's a good trivia to know. Let's move to the next one. Well, today is a bloody day for Luftwaffe, because on September 30th, 1940, during the Battle of Britain, there were 47 German aircraft shot down over England. And you know that the Hitler never invaded England, UK during the Second World War, but the Nazi Germany used V1 bombs and V2 bombs to kill a lot of civilians, and they were also conducting a lot of air raids. The method they followed is to basically send a lot of these aircrafts and bomb the cities on the UK side, and UK then consequently built their defenses, and they also build faster, better aircrafts than German. So today, on September 30th, 1940, 47 in single day, 47 German aircraft were shot down. So it was a very big loss, because some of their veterans, the pilots, which were very valuable for the Air Force, and the aces were also shot down and they were killed. So this is some trivia regarding Second World War. Let's move to the next one. Again, during the Second World War, the most popular, most admired Admiral Chester Nimitz was flying in a B-17, and they were trying to go to Guadalcanal. And friends, if you are aware of Guadalcanal conflict between US and Japan, it is by far the largest naval conflict ever in the history of mankind. Largest ever. And it was very elaborate, and lot of ships were used, lot of ground forces were used, and also a lot of air force. So Admiral Chester Nimitz was going to Guadalcanal to look after this whole project himself. And Nimitz was very popular because he was very brave, and he used to be always in the lead from the front. He was always used to be in the battle. He was in the battle during the Midway battle also. So Guadalcanal was an important victory for American forces, and after Guadalcanal, Japan got into retreat mode, and they kept retreating from that point. So in the year 1942, what is interesting is that his B-17 lost its way, and they were not able to locate the airfield near Guadalcanal. So Nimitz started looking at the edition of National Geographic, and in those days National Geographic used to come up with different maps. So he located his destination looking at the map which was published in National Geographic's magazine. So isn't it amazing? I mean, those are the days when there was no Google Maps, but there was a map which was published in National Geographic's, and Nimitz and his crew was able to locate the exact location, and they landed safely in the year 1942 on September 30th. Let's move to the next one. We all know Boeing 747 has been flying high and still flying. It is considered the plane liked by all airlines, and they have long haul aircraft which is 747. So it provides very comfortable, very stable flight to passengers. And believe it or not, 747 was proposed as a long range bomber, but was refused by the US Air Force. And then after that, Boeing released this aircraft for civilian use. The first Boeing rolled out on September 30th, 1968. In the history of Boeing, this is a historic day because Boeing made their fortune because of this aircraft becoming so popular across the world with all airlines. Let's move to the next one. A bit of bad news. Today on September 30th, there was a huge earthquake in India in a place called Latur in Gujarat. In the year 1993 on September 30th. The interesting part to know is that this area of land on earth is considered to be an earthquake proof area, and it has been because there is no seismic activity happening in this area, and so people were not prepared to handle an earthquake. In fact, there has been never a history of any earthquake recorded in this area and that part of India. So the construction of houses and everything was not earthquake proof because they had never seen this kind of a calamity. And when the earthquake happened in 1993, it was very strong, 6.4 on the Richter scale, killing a lot of people. And that was on September 30th. So, Mother Nature has has its own way, because the area which we considered safe, suddenly there will be a calamity out of the blue. And if I remember, this happened in the early wee hours, and a lot of houses collapsed. So most of the damage was done because of the collapse of the houses, because none of the houses use the anti-earthquake technology. They had no idea that earthquake will ever hit this land. So friends, these are certain things which happened on September 30th. If you have any suggestions, any comment, feel free to write in, and I will meet you next week on Monday at the same time. Enjoy your weekend and have a nice day. I will catch you again next week. Bye bye for today.